recording first. We are recording. Welcome, Zach, again. Once again, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I'm very excited to have you. And for people who are watching us, hello from United States of America, and we are here today to do a kind of book review or a book summary on. I think I would call a brilliant book with a title called A Better Way to Live by author O.G. Mandino. So without wasting time further, let's jump into the actual section, on what we like best about the book, what it talks about on the surface, and how it can help people who are watching us today, right? So I will jump on to Zach and ask Zach, what do you think about this book? What is the central idea, and what author has tried to convey in this book? If you can, talk about it really quick.
Central idea is something that's hard to get around in a quick blurb. So I think one of the things that struck out to kind of introduce the book the best way I can do to introduce the book to people is OG talks about how he was 35 years old and he just says there's this 35-year-old man. He's a bum. He's got matted hair. He's drunk in the morning and he looks at a gun and he wants to spend all of his money to get that gun and kill himself. And then he reveals that that person is himself.
Exactly.
And the fact that he has come from that to being the best-selling personal development book author in his time is extremely moving. And I think he's a great storyteller. And so that's why I think he has a lot of good advice, because he came from literally the bottom and was able to really succeed. And he has some good advice. And that's why I think we should listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, exact ditto thoughts from my side as well. Like hearing his story, a person at the age of 30, 35, he wants to buy a suicide gun, right, to kill himself. And coming from that background and being a best seller, for a lot of books, I think, and I'm very much impressed by his writing style. He has an easy way to tell the story, so that is where I feel very connected. I read a couple of books from him, and then I watched his some of his speeches. He's a great speaker as well. So it was so touching. And how this book he wrote is a funny story. Like in one of his seminar, he was talking a lot about success, and he was trying to tell all the good things about him. And a lady walked toward him and said, you talked about all your success stories. How about your setbacks? I have a lot of setbacks. And then he thought, why can't I write, something about my setback? And that is where he introduced his story about how he wanted to kill himself, being drunk and having no purpose of life. So, I mean, it's definitely a great way to, I think, introduce the book. I think the way you did, probably. So what do you think, how this book can help somebody, and which audience group should read this book?
I think
language, how who can understand this book?
It's another one like the last book that we reviewed.
Right.
The fact that I would say anybody from 12 all the way through 8 until the end of your life, you can benefit from this book and understand the book.
Right.
And there's, I think, 17 practical
exactly 17
rules.
Practical rules, correct.
Rules.
A better way to live, yes. So and you feel you can come back at any point of time, right, on those rules. Like read one chapter and try to practice it throughout the day, right? And see how you can implement that, and you can move on to the next one. So it's very easy to understand. Like all the chapters are very short. That's what I feel, isn't it? Easy read. What do you think?
Yeah. and it's about 2.5 hours if you listen to it.
Oh yeah,
So
listen to a lot of audiobooks.
yes, I
I've
love
tried it.
audiobooks. I listen to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how much if you have to like give us five key messages, like five takeaways, what you had after reading this book, maybe number what would be your number one?
Okay. My number one would
Mhm.
be to count your blessings.
All right.
I like that one a lot. He
Mhm.
talks about how much would you pay to have your hands. Think about all the people who don't have their hands. How much would you pay?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
priceless.
it's true. True.
Your eyes, same
Your
thing.
eyes. Yeah. Yeah, you are absolutely right. I'm not trying to copy you, but that is my number one as well. Count your blessings. And it is so powerful. Like when you think after reading this chapter, I took a piece of paper and I was writing like what I have. Like I have a graduation degree, I have a good family, I have a good job, and I was feeling like why I'm feeling sorry for myself, I have these many blessings, right? So
Yeah.
so probably that is where it was my number one. What was your number two?
I will say that my number two is treat everyone like it's the last day that they're going to live.
Got you.
I think it's a great mental exercise. And the author talks
Yeah.
about when he had this cab driver
Yeah.
and the cab driver drove him around, and
Yeah.
he developed this really strong relationship with this guy. He took
Mm-hmm.
him to the burger place. He had the best burgers of his life. And at the end, the cabbie hugged him and just said that he loved him. And the
Exactly.
author says that it was because he was lecturing on this subject of treating
Mm.
everyone like it's the last day that they're going to live,
Yeah.
and he really embodied that. So that was a good story as well.
you know uh, what a coincidence, even that is my number two. Treat everyone as if they are going to die in the midnight, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the midnight. So, and how true it is, like if somebody is going to die tomorrow, today, right? If even though you have grudges or you have like a lot of anger, frustration, you'll be treating him nicely, really nice. And the same story goes where he gave a nice treat to the cab driver, because he was giving a lecture on why we should be treating everybody as it is the as they are going, everybody's going to die in the midnight, right? Which is funny. Everybody won't die in the midnight, right?
Yeah.
What was your number three?
My number three was go the extra mile.
Go the
The-
extra mile, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is about
Mm-hmm.
um, don't try to do the least that you can do. Like an
Mm-hmm.
Olympic athlete will never
Mm-hmm.
win gold medal if he's trying to figure out what the least amount of stuff that he can do is. You trying to
Gotcha.
figure out what the most you can do is. And the
Mm-hmm.
example he gave in the book is around that I thought was really interesting is that when the Statue of Liberty was being created, they spent like an extra week or so on the hair,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody would ever see the hair
Okay.
because they didn't think of people flying over it. So why would they do that? They did
Mm-hmm.
it because they wanted to go the extra mile. And then 100 years later, we can see the perfect hair over the Statue of Liberty, because that's what like true craftsmen, true professionals do.
Jack, this is not my number three, but again, I like this as a number three, going extra mile. I mean, doing more than what you are paid for.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? After reading these many books, now I'm trying to read some of the books which all the CEOs and all are reading. And I was reading a autobiography of Steve Jobs, right? There he talks about quality, right? I mean, making things simple, like doing more than what you are paid for. So I can totally relate to it, that try to give more than what you are paid for.
and with Steve Jobs, do you know
Mhm.
what he does on the inside of an apple? The engineers put their names on the inside of the apple because they go that far of the extra mile to have a very
Exactly.
high quality product.
Right. He learned from
Yeah.
his father, right? That
Yeah.
thing. Like even though that part, is not visible, right? But like you need to have a good hardware so that it can embed with the software. So definitely going extra mile would be for me. Number three was starting your day well, like starting your morning well, feeling grateful for what you have. I mean, there are days where we will feel low, right? That things are not working. I'm not able to achieve my goals. Like so starting the day well with any activities. For example, you and me, we both are sometimes doing running or exercise, or we are reading some books. So that kind of thing was my number three. What was it?
Yeah. That was my number four, actually.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What's your number five, Jay?
My number four is again going there.
Oh,
My number five was this one. Have like always make mistakes. Never be afraid of making mistakes. I mean, we
yeah.
story so many times like that we should not be afraid of failures or setbacks, right? But I'm that kind of person. I fear sometimes a lot, like fear of unknown. You remember we discussed that. What was your number five though?
I honestly, I'm
Hmm.
a little bit embarrassed to say this, but I didn't have number five.
Oh, really? That's not at all a problem. Maybe like I feel like our number one was count your blessings.
Yeah.
Number two was treat everyone that they are going to die
Hmm.
midnight. And number three was again deliver more than what you are paid for, right? And number four was this one, start your day well, right? And be grateful for what you have. Number five was make mistakes, learn from it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, before concluding, you may have heard this story so many times. Like there was a person who was walking on the streets and he was crying for he needed a shoes, right? Like he didn't had the sports shoes. And
Hmm.
he saw a person crossing the road. He was like he has no legs, and this guy realized like I was crying for the shoes and he does not have foot, or the leg to wear the shoes. So we always should be we should be grateful for what we have, I think.
Yes.
Do you think the same way? I mean,
Yes.
we definitely compare ourselves, right, with the people who are above us, right? That we don't have. We always cry for things which we don't have, right? But I mean, looking at people, who are below than you, who are struggling, that can also add a lot of motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely, what do you felt after reading this? He's a great author, isn't it?
Yeah. He is. He is.
Oji Mandono. He wrote a book called University of Success. Probably we can read this book as well, but it has got like 700 pages.
It's a bit longer. I know that.
Yeah, I know. In fact, I'm struggling. I'm in chapter 10 and it has got 30 chapters altogether.
Yeah. It's
So,
I
yeah.
made the audio version of that one too because I
Oh,
do like
really?
him. Yeah, so I was planning on reading that eventually or
Got
listening to
you.
it because I listen to books. And that is an
Mhm.
18-hour listen. So
Oh,
this is a
really?
2.5 hour listen. That one is an 18-hour listen.
That's
It's
a lot
much
of time.
longer.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a good one. There's lots of good stuff in that. I know that. And
Exactly.
he's a
So,
very good teacher. So
Oji Mandino, right?
yes.
Yeah, and the good thing about this book was Zach. What I'm learning from this book, he has collected ideas from all the bestseller. To be honest with you, like he has some chapters from Napoleon Hills, some from Mal's. So that is the beauty of this book. Like every chapter is unique, actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm liking it, but it is again difficult to read like a lot of pages, And after my wife is here, I'm not getting a lot of time to read a lot. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we conclude, Zach, I had one thing about this book. In this book, author talks about neglecting. Like sometimes we ignore small things, little things we ignore. And he gives examples of how Thomas Alva Edison, he lost a patent because he didn't pay attention to little things. I mean, this point is related to, again, trying to be perfect, right? Because you can't go second class. You always have to go the first class in what you do. I mean, we read a book called The Magic of Thinking Big. Do you remember?
Yes, yes.
There,
Yep.
there also talks about like how big leaders, Magic of Thinking Big was the book, how big leaders think, how they create the environment. So that point I was able to relate from this book.
Yeah.
Anything, any recommendation for author? Any place where author has could have done better?
Ooh, man, that's a difficult one.
I know. I feel for 2.5 hours, he has delivered a great content,
Mhm.
like in an easy way. I feel, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great way to start your morning is reading this book.
Yeah.
And um, I felt for people who have kids,
Mm-hmm.
there was a very powerful story about the importance of caring and loving your kids in this
Yes.
book, and how there was a poem, I believe, or a short story about the little
Yes.
eyes and the little hands looking up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't always think about that as a parent. And it's something that he talks about, and he does talk about a balance in your life as well,
True.
which I think
Mm-hmm.
is good.
Yeah, I felt like really connected from this author, and I'm planning to read some more books from him, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like the way we read that guy, what his name, Robin Sharma,
Yes.
the
Yes.
who will cry when you die.
Yes. That one is a very good one.
Yeah, so thanks, Zach, for joining us today. And definitely we will, have you for some more book reviews, probably.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we'll
Ajay.
read some great books, and definitely these books are helping me a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like as we discussed, right? We both have common interest of reading a lot of books, and
Hmm.
all great leaders are doing, right?
Yeah.
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 So, maybe why not? Like we can do some podcast on autobiographies. I know it's difficult, but sometimes we can do that, like Steve
Yeah.
Jobs autobiography, kind of stuff, so that people will understand their thought process, how they thought, like
Yeah.
a short version of it.
Yeah. Sure.
Yep. Thank you, Zach. Thanks once again, and we'll see you.
Thanks, Ajay. See ya.
Bye bye.